So I don't know if you've noticed, but it's been a little quiet on the channel in terms of videos about the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo's next-gen system, and that's mainly because there really hasn't been any new information that's been coming out. We haven't been getting any rumors or any potential leaks from credible sources or anything like that. However, we finally got something that came out just a few days ago, and it seems like something that a lot of people are starting to talk about now because it's created a huge discussion, and it really kind of just sounds like something that you feel like Nintendo wouldn't do, but at the same time, it feels like something that I feel like wouldn't be that surprising if they decide to do it. So it's a very interesting topic, and I do want to kind of share my thoughts about this and what they could potentially do, and also hear what you guys have to say about it as well, because I do feel like this is a pretty big topic. And so what I'm talking about here is this article that came out just yesterday saying that there's a rumor that Nintendo is planning to release a version of the Nintendo Switch 2 without backwards compatibility, and it's a little bit blurred kind of exactly what they're trying to say here, but I think I have an idea. So we're going to take a look at the article right here where it says, each day, it seems that a brand new Nintendo Switch 2 rumor is circulating online. The latest rumor comes from Xbox Era rumor monger Shepshal Nick, who claims to have heard from his sources that Nintendo is planning a Switch 2 console, possibly without a cartridge slot, which won't be backwards compatible with the original Nintendo Switch games. This would mean that there are two models, one with a cartridge slot and a second all-digital version. As always, this is a rumor and Nintendo has yet to announce their follow-up to any of the Nintendo Switch family of systems. And so basically the article boils down to the fact that there might be two Nintendo Switch 2 models that could be releasing with Nintendo's next-gen system next year, and that there's going to be one digital version and one physical version, which is actually very interesting because this is now the second rumor that has come out now about something like this, as if you remember a few days ago I was talking about this rumor that was said here by Soldier Delta, who has leaked about a PS5 game that was unannounced, and he actually uploaded screenshots and stuff about the game, so he definitely seems to have some types of sources as well, and he put up this post here where he was saying the Switch 2 has a targeted release in September of 2024. However, there's also a placeholder for early November. The internal name is NG, however, we don't know about the final name. There are two intended models, one being a standard one for $449 with a digital option for $400. That's all I have for now. So he also did say that there was going to be two versions of the Nintendo Switch 2, one that was going to be digital and one with physical. And so of course, after initially hearing this, it just feels like something that Nintendo wouldn't do, right? Like, would Nintendo really have two versions of their system where there's going to be an all digital version as well as a physical version? Because Nintendo always kind of comes to these types of trends very late, and like they always do what the competition does very late too. Like, we're talking about Nintendo, like they literally discovered what Ethernet was 2 years ago when they finally added it to the OLED model. And we're talking about how now, because PlayStation and Xbox both have digital versions of their systems, that Nintendo is all of a sudden going to be ready to have a digital version of their next-gen Nintendo system. It definitely does sound a little bit hard to believe. I think I read somewhere that in Japan especially, Nintendo Switch games are pretty much always sold as physical copies, and it just seems like a lot of people really buy Nintendo Switch games physically, and that it would be easier to just have one system come out that has a cartridge slot, as opposed to having like two versions now, which is going to be like a digital version and a physical version. And really the big thing that everybody is saying is that it just sounds so unlike Nintendo to do something like this, where they're going to have two versions that's going to be like a digital version and a physical version of the Nintendo Switch. But at the same time, I also feel like this isn't something that's like impossible to happen. I do think that it's unlikely. Like, I feel like there's definitely a better chance of this being fake information than this being real, but I do want to talk about just the open discussion about the possibility that if this does end up being real, could it be something that I could see Nintendo doing? And I gotta say, I feel like it is definitely a little bit possible, because I don't know about you guys, or I don't know how easy it is for some people to see, but I think it's very clear that we're kind of entering a new era now when it comes to Nintendo. Like, Nintendo is just doing a lot of new and different types of things. And I mean, we can kind of just see that we have movies now. Nintendo is literally opening up a museum, which they talked about in their last Nintendo Direct. They've replaced the voice of Mario. Like, they're doing a lot of new things, and it really feels like a whole new era of Nintendo is now upon us. And the Switch era that we have currently right now is still a part of Mr. Satoru Iwata, that even though he wasn't around when the Switch came out and he unfortunately passed away, it still has Satoru Iwata's DNA inside of it, because the Switch was still developed when it was codenamed NX, still with Mr. Iwata around, and this would be the first ever like next generation system that's going to be coming out completely without Satoru Iwata's influence or anything like that. And I feel like it's very possible that maybe this new era of Nintendo is going to start to do kind of more of these types of things that we wouldn't really expect from them. Now, the article kind of explains this in a confusing way where it's saying like this version wouldn't have backwards compatibility or something, and I even watched like the original Xbox like podcast where they were talking about what they heard, and it seems like what the person was trying to say is that the all-digital version of this Nintendo Switch 2 obviously wouldn't have a cartridge slot, so it wouldn't be backwards compatible with any physical games that you have on your Nintendo Switch because you're not going to be able to put that cartridge into the system. What I don't think that they're trying to say is that this version wouldn't have any types of backwards compatibility at all. I feel like it would just be backwards compatible with digital downloaded Nintendo Switch games that you currently have right now. Now, I don't know how many of these types of people exist, but if you are one of them, definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. I'm interested to see how many of you guys are like this because I'm sure that there are a group of people out there who pretty much buy every single Nintendo Switch game all digitally, and they don't care about physical releases at all. Like if there's a new Mario game, a new Zelda game, a new Smash Bros game, a new Pokemon, whatever, they're always just going to buy the digital version of the game on the Nintendo eShop, and they probably just have like a massive SD card that has all of their games, and they just have everything on this one Nintendo Switch that they play digitally. Now, I personally don't fall into this group at all. I buy pretty much every Nintendo Switch game physically if it's an option. You can see on my shelf right here, I have a whole bunch of Nintendo Switch games and I bought them all physically. So I pretty much always get my games physically and that's how I enjoy them. But I'm sure that there are people out there who buy their games all digitally. And that's why if there is an option now for the Nintendo Switch 2 to have an all digital version, maybe this could be beneficial for these types of people. And so this is where it would make sense that there wouldn't be any backwards compatibility because you wouldn't have any physical cartridges to put inside of this Nintendo Switch 2, but I'm sure you would be able to log in with your Nintendo account, go to the eShop and download all of the games that you've already purchased on your current Nintendo Switch and then just re-download them onto this new Nintendo Switch 2. Or maybe it might be even more simple where you could just take out the SD card and put it into the new one or something, or have like an easy way to transfer all your games and your save data. But I feel like that's what they're trying to say here, is that this digital version would just be backwards compatible with digital versions of Nintendo Switch games, but not the cartridge versions. And this is like how it is on the PlayStation 5 as well, where if you buy the digital PlayStation 5, you can log in with your PSN account and pretty much all of the games that you've purchased from the PlayStation Store digitally on your PS4 can now be re-downloaded onto your PS5, and you can carry all of your data over and be able to still play those games with backwards compatibility. And so of course, I don't have the actual statistics of how many people really buy pretty much all of their Nintendo Switch games digitally, but maybe Nintendo does have those numbers and they've done the research and they've seen that it might be beneficial to release like an all digital version of this system, and maybe those types of people now are going to be more inclined to get it, because if you're already going to buy the games digitally anyway, like if you're not going to use the cartridge slot at all, and now you can get the system for even cheaper but still have all of the benefits of the next gen system, then for those types of people, I definitely think it would make a lot of sense. And so if they actually decide to go through with this, I will of course be buying the physical version, as I always get my games physically. Even my PlayStation 5, I have the disc version so that I can play all of the games with the disc. But if they do actually decide to have two models of the Nintendo Switch 2, and one of them is going to be digital, it really does mean that we are getting closer and closer to the end of physical games. And that's a whole other discussion as well, which if you guys are interested, I may make a video on that, because that is a topic that I'm also pretty upset by as well, because it definitely seems like we are getting closer and closer now to that all digital future where we're no longer going to have any physical games anymore, and that does make me very upset. So if Nintendo actually does decide to release a digital version and a physical version of their next system, it would also be another step closer to that happening. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well, as I'm going to be having more videos talking about Nintendo's next gen system as the information comes out. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. Are you somebody who mainly buys their Nintendo Switch games digitally? Would you be okay if there's going to be an all digital version and a physical version of their next system? Definitely be sure to share your thoughts with me down below in the comments. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.